Don't make me hit this again.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Courage Through Cancer Fund Celebration. I'm Jessica Rentto, Associate Vice President of Administration, and it is my honor to welcome you to campus, where we are hosting you safely in our first in-person event at this beautiful Alumni Center since March 2020. It's good to be back. Tonight, I am certain you'll enjoy the games, activities, food, and beverages, but especially the camaraderie. You're here because you have impacted students' lives through your generosity. We invite you to be our guest and enjoy this event planned exclusively for you. Before we begin, I would like to recognize a couple of individuals. First, Vice President of University Relations and Development, Adrienne Vargas. Let's see, somewhere around it. Oh, there she is. And Interim VP for Business and Financial Affairs and our Chief Financial Officer, Agnes Wong Nickerson. I knew Agnes was wearing a red jacket, but in a sea of red, it's hard to pick her out. But thank you both for attending tonight. On September 25th, 2018, I joined a small group of SDSU staff, donors, and healthcare workers, including two incredible medical oncologists, to announce the creation of SDSU's Wallace Shatsky Blackburn Courage Through Cancer Fund. The mission? To provide funding for students experiencing financial hardships due to a personal cancer diagnosis or that of a parent or guardian. Named for her two medical oncologists, Dr. Ann Wallace and Dr. Rebecca Shatsky, Tammy Blackburn created the fund, having personally experienced a devastating diagnosis of first of stage 3 breast cancer, and then a re-diagnosis of stage 4 incurable cancer. A cancer diagnosis brings trauma to the lives of those facing it and also places a tremendous burden on family members and friends. All too often, those family members are the sons and daughters who are in college enjoying what is supposed to be the best years of their lives, until that dreaded phone call comes telling them your parent has cancer. On that lovely evening in September 2018, we were thrilled to announce something so vital, a fund to keep students in school. But none of us, not even our two incredibly generous seed donors, alumnus Mark Mays and honorary doctorate Patty Roscoe, could predict the profound impact it would have. In 3 years, over $300,000 have been raised, and remarkably, nearly 25 students have received support in the form of tuition, housing, meal plans, books, and more. Imagine that, 25 students pursuing their goals and dreams. This is all due to your kindness. To say thank you is a start, though it's not enough. But we do have something to share that is more powerful than a thank you. It's your impact. And for the next 3 minutes, this heartfelt video beautifully illustrates it. Please enjoy.
COVID did a lot to this world, just absolute tragedy. It also showed a lot of people that life is hard and we can do hard things.
The stage is set for a tradition put on pause.
People helped each other. People were selfless.
A different stage than in years past. A stadium for social distancing mixed with the class of 2020.
Long year waiting for it.
And 2021. But from the outstretched cell phones to makeshift fans, some things hadn't changed at all.
After so many months apart,
we can do hard things.
Words Tammy Blackburn lived by long before the pandemic.
I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer in 2017, and after a year of rigorous treatment, I was deemed no evidence of disease.
A star basketball player in the 1990s, she found a permanent home at San Diego State.
but I was only in remission until I wasn't. And 6 months later, I received a diagnosis of stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. There was a young gal that walked into infusion one day, and my eyes locked.
Tammy set her mind on another purpose.
The goal is for them to graduate and not allow a personal diagnosis of cancer or that of a loved one to take them away from their dreams.
4 years ago, I would have said, this is never going to happen.
To help students like Cameron McCullough with the Courage Through Cancer Fund.
Fall of my freshman year, just a couple months in, and there was a mass that was growing in her leg.
When his mom was diagnosed with metastatic bone cancer, they couldn't pay the mounting bills for his education.
I received a notice on my door saying, 3-day pay or quit.
I started to see the vision of getting Cameron to his junior year, getting him to his senior year, making sure that he had books, housing, meals.
More than financial help, he was given a community.
Tammy is the person I can text late at night or just right before an exam, my backbone.
And I will be standing at the opposite end of the stage when his name is announced. It's not something that you can really explain how you feel. I just wanted him to finish, and I wanted him to earn his degree. He deserves that. I don't feel good on most days, but when I have something there to grasp and it's full of being able to help others, that's what you grab onto, and suddenly the pain and the aches go away.
With celebratory air hugs and fist bumps, the moment may have looked a little different, but felt exactly as they'd expected.
They have somewhere to look to when cancer takes all that away.
As Cameron goes on to research stem cell cancer treatments, Tammy will help students reach a finish line they were always destined to cross. In San Diego, I'm Amanda Brandeis reporting.
What an incredible story. And I want to share that Cameron is working in Torrey Pines in clinical research using his science degree, and we are all so proud of him. Now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who needs no introduction. He shares a special bond with many of you. He is friendly, funny, and kind, and in his 35 years has gone above and beyond for this university. Please help me in welcoming Assistant VP of SDSU Alumni, Jim Herrick.
Thank you, Jessica. You know, nothing like a little movie to throw you for a loop. But, you know, this feels pretty good. We've been out of commission. We all been out of commission. But for the last 14 months, the Parma Payne Goodall Alumni Center has been a COVID testing site, and 200,000 of you have been tested in here. Coach Dutcher himself was tested 87 times in this building the past year and a half.
All negative.
So I am thrilled to welcome you back to campus. I couldn't think of a more perfectly fitting event than the Wallace Shatsky Blackburn Courage Through Cancer event. This is like getting the band back together. We're so excited to see you all, and thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to us here. This may not surprise you, but I've known Tammy for most of her life. In fact, in the early 90s, as alluded to in the video, I used to watch Tammy every game, and Peterson Gym right down the block here, as she systematically left various body parts on the floor. Tammy was a diver of loose basketballs, and she had no regard for her own physical self if it was in the pursuit of a common team good. She defined being a team player, and she's got the spirit. We all know that. So what happened? All right, well, were we really that surprised that after all that trauma that we just heard Jessica tell us about in great detail and witnessed, that, you know, what did Tammy do? Did she shrink away and go away and feel sorry for herself and be less productive? No, she's the most incredibly productive person in our entire campus. She stepped up all her work, but that's not what I'm talking about here. Even though I did take advantage of the last 20-something years of working with her every day and having her solve every problem that came along and creatively figuring out how to advance the university like no one in the history of the school. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What she did in this moment was to basically, and I guess we're not that surprised that she said, all right, well, there's got to be these kind of students out there, and I think I'm going to shift my life into flipping their lives and making sure that any trauma they experienced does not take them off the path of getting their degree and instead gets them back on the path of even joy and passion and graduation and studies and life. And that's who she is. She's a life flipper. That's who you are, Tammy Blackburn. And, you know, since we're all feeling a little sentimental, I mean, I think I should talk a little bit about what we're really sentimental about, and Aztec athletics. You know, some of you may have heard this, but it turns out that since 2010, our men's basketball and our football program have won a higher percentage of games than every school in the country, all those blue buds, except the Ohio State University at 74%. We're at 73%, and we are knocking at the door. And it's just been an astonishing run. And in that time period, you know, we've all got our Mount Rushmore of who got us there. You know, you got Chuck, you got Rocky Long, Chuck Long, Rocky Long, Steve Fisher, Brady Hoke. But there's one guy who has actually been there for the entire 73% streak. And we are so happy he's here tonight. I say that one word to define this guy. He's patient. And, you know, and patience, that's a pretty good virtue in the world of coaching college basketball players, not to mention everything else you might come across. But he came to San Diego State and he decided good things will come to those who wait, and we couldn't be happier. He is highly acclaimed, unbelievably successful, and the most patient person on our campus. Please welcome our head coach, Brian Dutcher.
I know you heard me tell this story before about Herrick, but I got hired here 24 years ago. And Herrick was in fundraising and development. And he lived up in RB by me. He drove the worst minivan I'd ever seen. And I said, what kind of university am I coming to where a guy with such an important position is driving this awful minivan? And then I just thought the genius of it. To drive up in that awful car and ask for money. Who wouldn't give him money? The guy was a genius. I also said, I came in and I have a handwritten name tag. I said, I went out there, they still have a name tag out there for Steve Fisher. And I said, Jim, when am I going to get a name tag? He says, win 100 more games. Well, I'm honored to be here tonight for the Courage Through Cancer celebration donor event. When Tammy asks you to do something, you do it. And I was here, I think 3 or 4 years ago when we got started. Obviously, we couldn't get together last year, and it's such a blessing to have everybody together again. Not only at this event, but on campus, the students, Viejas Arena back open. You guys are in the seats, you're supporting your Aztecs, and it makes a world of difference. Obviously, we play tomorrow night against Fullerton. We'd love you to be there and help us get over that Michigan loss, get back on a winning track, and the team's doing incredibly well. I mean, we've lost some challenging games, but I like this team. I like it a lot, and we keep working. And if hard work is rewarded, we'll win a lot of games this year because we work hard enough to do it. We're here because cancer's touched all of us in some way, whether it's you yourself, a family member, a friend, and it's touched our Aztec basketball family. Harrison, come up here with me. Give Harrison Rosenthal a little applause. Now, obviously, we haven't reached the point where Harrison is a basketball player or recruit. Nothing against your size or stature, Harrison. They didn't think the same of me. But Harrison is a manager on our basketball team. And this is his third year at San Diego State. He's been a manager for 2 years. And so any position on our basketball team, whether you're head coach, scholarship player, walk-on, or manager, you're all family. And we treat you all the same. There is no hierarchy. Once you're in the family, all family members are treated the same. And I didn't know until this year, Tammy came to me and she said, Harrison is going to get funds from the cancer funds. And I said, what's going on? Because, of course, he wouldn't say anything to me. His father first had cancer in, I think, 2002. He went through a 17-year remission, and now it's back. And it's back aggressively. And I feel horrible for Harrison and his family. And as they struggle, what better way to reach out than through the Courage Through Cancer Fund? And I didn't even know, he told Matt today that, I'm trying to think where was the first thing you went, Harrison, for help on campus?
The ECRT.
ECRT, the Economic Crisis Response Team. So you don't know that exists until you need it, do you? And so they put Harrison in touch with you today, people that can help. And you're helping him with his housing this semester. And Harrison's the ultimate success story at San Diego State. He's in his third year of accounting. He will graduate this year in 3 years. He's in the program that usually takes 5 years, where he will end with his master's degree at the end of 4 years. So he will have an accounting degree and a master's degree. So it always feels good to help your own. And that just goes a step further. He interviewed, I think, was Ernst & Young with Aztec, a season ticket holder. And he's got an internship coming up with Ernst & Young. And Harrison's on a wonderful path. But part of that path is because of the donations you give, the care you give to allow him to continue pursuing his dream of being a San Diego State graduate and represent this university with great pride like we all do, graduate or not graduate, just working here. You know, I feel that pride every day when I come in. Both my daughters went here. And so when they say Aztec for life, I'm an Aztec for life, and Harrison's an Aztec for life. And we're so grateful for the time he gives us in Aztec basketball. He was working a job, too. He was working a part-time job. Aztec basketball manager's no pay. He does it because he has a passion. And whenever you have a passion for something, you do it to the highest level. And he's got a passion as a student. He's got a passion to work with our program. And I'm glad that you are all sharing your passion to help fund him and help him get through his school year here. So thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you, Coach. You heard Coach mention that Harrison is a recipient of the Courage Through Cancer Fund. Our students have expressed on several occasions how thankful they are for your gifts, and they've asked for opportunities to meet and personally thank you. We have 6 of them here tonight. Will you please raise your hand when I call your name? Sarah Meza Adame, a junior majoring in sustainability. Ryan Thomas, a graduate student majoring in public health. Julia Arvizu, a 4th-year student majoring in civil engineering. And we all know Harrison Rosenthal, a senior majoring in accounting. Daniel Peel, a graduate student majoring in anthropology. And Jovan Roberts, a sophomore majoring in journalism and media studies. He wasn't able to come today. 3 of them will be speaking tonight, so let's get that started. Please help me in welcoming graduate student Ryan Thomas.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm really thrilled to be here, and Tammy, I'm just blown away by the work that you do, and it's changed my life. So I really appreciate you. And also Chelsea back with ECRT, she's fantastic. So yeah, in May of 2020, my mom, an Air Force veteran, an ER nurse of 30 years, and the toughest and most loving person I know was diagnosed with breast cancer. Coincidentally, the pandemic brought me home right when she received her diagnosis, and I assumed the role of primary caregiver. I administered shots to stimulate white blood cell growth, gave her medication to ease nausea, assisted with daily activities of living, and brought her to appointments at the VA, all while being her personal music therapist. Of course, there were limits to the care I could provide at home, but offering words of comfort and being there for her at all hours revealed themselves to be two of the most significant ways I was able to alleviate her discomfort. And I had to learn to be the tough one and the resilient one, and whatever happened, I would be by her side. The year wore on, and little by little, following chemotherapy, surgery, and radiation, she started to recover. When her oncologist declared her to have no evidence of cancer, she got to ring the bell at the hospital where she received treatment, a ring that symbolized to me some of the most profound relief and joy I have ever felt. And she has since shared with me how she fully relied on me during this time and tells friends I was her rock. And I'm incredibly grateful knowing I was able to be there for my mom, despite this being one of the greatest challenges I've ever faced. But throughout this care experience, I could not help but notice major areas for improvement within our healthcare system. Why were my mother and I often left with more questions than answers? Why was coordinating appointments between departments so difficult? Throughout this awful process, my mom, who's a seasoned health professional, was left frightened and bewildered. And you know, this is the person that I really, that I hope to serve. And the Courage Through Cancer Fund has allowed me to continue pursuing my goal of improving healthcare in the United States. And words cannot express how thankful I am for your kindness. And these funds have relieved a huge burden due to my mother's diagnosis. And cancer is devastating, but this fund and everyone here today gives me hope for a brighter future. And I met some of the donors over here, and you guys are awesome. And I can't express how grateful I am for you guys. So, and I'm also thrilled to announce that, you know, I've been able to maintain a 4.0 throughout my program, and I've accepted a position at Kaiser as an administrative fellow in July, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to continue bringing healing and joy to people in times of suffering. And this would not have been possible without Tammy and all of your generous support. So endless gratitude, and I'm just blown away, and I'm friend for life, you know, friends for life, everyone here. So thank you. Thank you very much. And next up, we have Julia, who is also a recipient of the Courage Through Cancer Fund. Come on up, Julia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie. So the day my mom told me that she was diagnosed with cancer was the day that my life and complete outlook on life had changed. I realized that every single day counts, and with that said, any days that I could have been there for her during her treatment made a huge difference. And that's why this award was so significant at the time that I had received it, because she had been going through the treatment and needed all the help she could get with my family, and especially with my younger brother with nonverbal severe autism. I admit that when I heard the news, I instantly thought of dropping out of school for the semester. I knew my family would need the help, and I wasn't sure if I could be mentally present in my studies. However, I continued the semester, and it was when I learned about this reward that my family and I felt an instant sense of relief financially. It was from your support, the donors, that I was able to focus on school and my family at a very crucial time. So there's no other way to say it other than thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm filled with immense gratitude and am extremely appreciative of your kindness. I know that you have no obligation to contribute to this fund, but just know that you're changing the lives of many students, including myself. And with that said, I'm going to introduce another recipient, Sarah.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for the invitation, and Tammy and each of you have truly changed my life for the better and granted me so much peace. And I'm extremely forever grateful for each and every one of you and your endless support. So a little bit of myself. At age 16, I plunged into cyclophosphamide cocktails, IV drips, and sterile hospital rooms, assigned almost a year of surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, or / burn and poison. I had rhabdomyosarcoma, muscle cancer rapidly growing behind my left eye. Since then, my future and health has often been uncertain. I wondered if I would ever be able to physically attend school, finish my high school studies, graduate from university, work my way through college like everyone else, and serve my community. For many years, my family endured many personal trials and great financial debt due to my medical treatments, hospitalizations, procedures, and surgeries. After suffering many health-related interruptions, I've never been closer to completing my dream of graduating from university, one that I've been wishing and hoping for since my first hospitalizations and moments battling this horrible disease. And all because of you, you have changed my life. Your extreme kindness, generosity, and abiding support of the Wallace-Shatsky Blackburn Courage Through Cancer Fund have helped me attend the school of my dreams. As cancer treatment left me with physical limitations and a painful disability, impeding my ability to hold a job concurrently with my studies, and your donations have enabled me to cover my long transport to school and extensive university expenses, giving my family and I abundant peace and a fighting chance of attending school. We're all unfortunately touched by cancer, but it unifies us, coming together in love, longing to relieve the pain that comes with this terrible disease. Because of the Courage Through Cancer Fund, the hearts of families and young people alike ignite with hope and inspiration for a radiant new beginning and peace among the long strife. A life beyond the bounds of the civil war that they're facing within their own bodies and cells every single day. I personally want to thank each and every one of you for being part of such a beautiful, giving, and holistic mission, transcending light and all-encompassing unconditional support unto the lives of students and families like me. Bestowing education for the next generation is one of the most precious and valuable gifts you could give. You truly have the power to change lives by granting a recipient access to opportunities we may not have otherwise. In many cases like mine, my education would not be possible if it were not for your generosity. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and may God bless you and everyone who takes part of this admirable and compassionate endeavor. Thank you tremendously.
Thank you, Sarah. And I did say at the beginning that there's something better than a thank you, and that's showing you the impact that your donations have made. So can I get one more round of applause for our amazing students? And so now I would like to present the amazing woman who started all of this. This person needs no introduction, but she definitely deserves one. Her resume is stacked with accomplishments. An SDSU double alumna, Her connections to SDSU started back around 1990 when she was recruited to play basketball for the Lady Aztecs. She was an amazing guard who was known for her basketball skills, but even better known for her amazing, incredibly positive attitude. She not only helped lead her team to 2 championship titles, but she also did it in a way that led SDSU athletics to name an award after her right after she graduated. Now, really, who can say that? But her passion, commitment, and dedication to SDSU never wavered. She has worked here for 24 years. And did I mention that in her off time, she moonlights as a sportscaster extraordinaire? Now, we would all like to think that we would make lemonade out of lemons. But how many people actually do it? Tammy took her own personal tragedy, and rather than thinking about herself, she used that life event as fuel to create something that supports not her, but our students and future students. She is one of a kind, and I am honored to call her my colleague and my friend. So Tammy Blackburn, please come up here and give a big round of applause.
Thank you so much. What a time it has been. What a time it has been. It is so lovely to see your faces. Your smiles fill my cup. And we're always looking for, as patients with cancer, we're looking for things to fill our cup. And this did it for me. And it's been about, 20 months? So thank you all so much for being here tonight. I am so happy that you guys could all come. And before I actually give my remarks, I want to introduce some very important people who have been an amazing part of my life and inspiration. My family and very, very close friends who drove down from Orange County. I grew up in Brea, California, and they made the trek here today, and I'm so incredibly grateful. And they're sitting at this front table, and over here, Margie and Ireneo Sepulveda, who are my neighbors and my second mom and dad. I grew up with both of them. Thank you for being here. Brad, Kristen, and Carol, who are my very dear friends. We have some great game night battles at their house. I played basketball at Brea High School with Kristen, her husband, Brad, and Carol. I'm so gracious for your continued support of this fund, your longtime friendship, and I can't wait to meet you guys at Christmas time in a number of different games. And of course, my mom and dad, who many of you have met, they're sitting right here at the front table. You can recognize my mom. She's about 4'11". I'm not really sure how that works out. And my dad, Marty Blackburn, who, imagine that your child gets diagnosed with something so terrible. And I know many of you have that situation. But I mean, you talk about people who are like the rocks in your life. These two were the most amazing parents before this, and they even ratcheted it up a notch when I really needed them. So I love you both. I couldn't be here without you, and I know this is hard for you, but all of these people, and I'm here because of you. And you taught me a lot about how to be a giver because you're both givers. So thank you very much. And then, when you're going through a battle like this, and I don't even really like the word battle, but it's said, it's sort of synonymous with cancer. These people are truly the heroes, the students, and you're the heroes for reaching into your pockets and making all of this happen for them because they need it. This is very, very difficult. They all have something, and you heard Ryan, and you heard so many other the speeches about something that they are motivated by, and they want to be there. So there's a guy sitting in the front seat who I haven't introduced yet, and his name is Blake Blackburn, and he is my oldest. He is my nephew, but I've I call him my boy. And for those of you that know me super close, Blake and Tyler are my boys. He is the oldest, and I'm really proud of him. Blake, will you just stand up? Because I want everybody to see, you know, I used to parade you around campus when you were like 3 or 4 years old. I'm really proud of him. And, you know, he and his younger brother, Tyler, who's graduating from Oklahoma State this weekend, and we're going to fly back there to see him this weekend. These two guys are the reasons why I go to treatment regularly, why I take my chemo pills, why I fight through the side effects. We all need that something. And I want to see them I want to see them get married. I want to see them grow their families. I want to see them build their careers. I want to see all of that happen. I want to be the grandma, the great aunt to, you know, your children, if you're fortunate enough to have that. So these are the reasons why we do what we do. And I know these guys understand it. So I'll get into my my remarks right now, but you know, 4 years ago, I would not have imagined that we would be gathering here talking about this fund and being able to celebrate something so amazing because of you. Because at the end of the day, who thinks you're going to get diagnosed with cancer? And then who thinks that you're going to go into remission and 6 months later, you're going to be re-diagnosed with from stage 3 to stage 4 and be told that you have a terminal illness, that there's no cure, and that you're going to have to do 2 things. And that is, we're going to give you the best quality of life that you can, and we are going to give you as many years as we can. So that's what we're going for. Sadly, it was that young girl that you saw. You didn't see her in the video, but I mentioned that it was that young girl that I locked eyes with, and she was about 16 years old. I was in the infusion center, and for whatever reason, I locked eyes on her, and she was being pushed in a wheelchair. And it was at that infusion appointment at UCSD in the Morse Cancer Center that I was driving home, and I thought, why her? Why so young? Why does this happen? What must her life be like? You know, does she get to still have slumber parties with her friends? Does she still get to go do the things that we all want to do when we're 16 years old? Well, she didn't. So I got to thinking about, well, if this is happening to people like her, it has to be happening to students at San Diego State. And I thought, at that moment, I realized something good could happen. And I think how awful it is for them to be so young. I know I'm scared, although I don't live in fear. I'm scared of my diagnosis. I can only imagine what these amazing heroes and these students either go through with their personal diagnosis or watching the people that they love the most go through it. It's terrifying and it's hard. They must live in fear. So again, what you're doing is so important. Thanks to the generosity of alumnus Mark Mays and honorary doctorate Patty Roscoe, and the administrative work of Rose Passanelli, Andrea Dooley, and Chelsea Payne of the ECRT. The 3 of you have been truly amazing. Rose and Andrea, I'll never forget that day at Starbucks. You probably remember. We were sitting there and I said, I have this crazy idea. This is what I want to do. And I think in a month, we turned the fund on and launched, we're able to launch the fund. And we had a student, Cameron McCullough, who you saw the video of. You heard Jessica earlier, the 25 students that we've been able to help. 3 of them have actually had a personal cancer diagnosis. Sarah, you heard, was one of them, and we've had 2 more who have gone on to graduate. Sadly, for many of the students, the tragedy of losing their mom and dad has hit some of them, and that's what happens when you have stage 4. It does happen. But the good news is, because of what you've done and because of this fund gave them hope. It was a safety net. It was a safety net for them to be able to finish and be able to go on and turn to a place immediately when they didn't think they had anywhere to go. Who do we turn to? This life-changing emergency fund is a wonderful immediate solution, and each year we raise funds for the operating fund to cover the expenses of tuition, meals, books, and what have you. And we will continue to do that as part of the commitment to see our students graduate. The funds will be available when a student calls. And trust me, Chelsea, Andrea, and Rose know those calls come all too often. Sometimes on weekends, sometimes late at night, but we all get together. We're 3 years in, as Jessica mentioned, and we know more about the need than what the future will look like. And sadly, we know that cancer's probably not going anywhere, and the unfortunate circumstances of what our students are going to continue to go through will continue to be a present challenge for us. So we are going to now take a shift. Although we're going to stay in our current position, we're going to focus on growing the fund to include long-term stability and financial viability. The benefit of this is also that it will include supplementing the annual fund by providing a steady source of income. So how does this long-term viability and this long-term stability happen? Well, we have a really important announcement to make and a really nice surprise. And I'm so grateful and moved to share that over the course of the past 3 weeks, alumnus and initial seed donor Mark Mays has shared his desire to create an endowment to provide us that long-term stability, an incredible legacy gift that will impact students in perpetuity. We are so thrilled tonight to share that we have a pledge that is in development with Mark for a $500,000 matching challenge gift. So great. This is a remarkable gift, not surprising, because Mark is a visionary and has sadly dealt with a cancer tragedy of his own. If you don't know Mark, we actually want you to, even if it is just for a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage alumnus, proud Aztec, Mark Mays.
Well, I'm not as comfortable as a public speaker as everybody that went before me, but I'm going to try. So I had a speech class when I was in high school, and the one thing I took away from that is pick one person in the audience and pick them out and talk to them. So if I'm looking at you for the next few minutes, I'm not weird. I'm just trying to get through this. So, I made some notes. People have said about me in the past, and well, Mark doesn't play with a full deck of cards. Well, I brought all the cards tonight. I got 2. My notes. A lot has been said already, and it's going to be hard for me to improve on that. But I'd like to set the stage with people here to raise your hands, everybody that's either had a cancer diagnosis or had a dear one, a spouse, a child, a dear friend that has been affected with a cancer diagnosis. And I'll start with myself. You know, raise those hands. Look around. I think it's virtually everybody. So we all know that cancer is a hard word. That diagnosis brings the emotions of dread, foreboding, dreams vanished, and yes, mortality. But the end of those string of emotions and adjectives is hope. And that's what this foundation does, and that's what you do, is bring hope to our students. We all have a story. Mine was a cancer diagnosis when my wife was 52, and we had a 10-year journey with the cancer. And as we well know, that journey doesn't stop. It's been almost 9 years now, and the journey continues for both myself and my daughters. And we think of Karen every day, and that's just the reality of a cancer diagnosis. Never goes away. I have a couple of emotions that kind of spurred me on with this endeavor, and one's an affinity, and that's for San Diego State. I arrived on campus in 1966 and spent 2 wonderful undergraduate years here. I was in a fraternity, and one of the things that this university gave me is 50-year friendships. And that's a treasure to me. Good friends. And I had my first taste and dabble in philanthropy with my fraternity, just kind of got an idea about it. The next is empathy, and that's obvious. I have empathy for somebody with a cancer diagnosis and those affected by that diagnosis, me personally. And Tammy mentioned the infusion room. I assume some of you have been in an infusion room. It's probably one of the most unhappiest places on earth, not fun, but that stays with us. So it seems that I have my best ideas about 3 a.m. in the morning. So I was thinking, San Diego State has 35,000 students out there. There's one, it's a small city, there's one of every human condition possible. And I was thinking, there must be some students with either a diagnosis or a parent, most of the time with a diagnosis, and I just wondered if there's anybody out there to help them. So I met Tammy when I was on the board of directors for the Alumni Association. We've become good friends, and she met Karen, and they're very similar in personality and just always cheerful and one of hope. So I had lunch with Tammy, and I said, Tammy, same thing, 35,000 kids with problems. Does San Diego State have anything that helps these kids? And she says, well, Mark, I don't know. I'll find out. So a week later says, no, they don't. I said, well, let's start. I'll write a check, and you round up some other donors, Patty being one. So there was some seed money, and Tammy, took the reins, and wow, look what we have now. Through sheer force of will, your generosity, and we help our students here. So that was my first thought, and it was actualized by Tammy and all the good people at San Diego State. So about a month or so ago at 3 a.m., I had another idea. So, every organization must have short-term goals and long-term goals, tactical and strategic. So I came to Jim Herrick and Tammy for lunch about 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, what can we do to put us on some solid footing for the future? And so I'm willing to, donate some money. And in a very short period of time, we're working through the details, but I'll be able to donate this money as a matching gift with work. Maybe we can double that over time. And if we have that block of money, it just gives us permanency, puts us on the map of bona fide givers, and just makes us better from an overall situation. We're in the next phase, as Tammy said. So God bless Tammy and your team, Tammy. You're going to make that happen just like you made the initial donation expand to include all of you folks. It's pretty remarkable, I think, in just 2.5 years what's transpired here. So this is just the beginning. With your continued largesse, tell your friends, let them know what we're doing here, and help us grow the fund. My journey is, as I mentioned, and Tammy's mentioned, it never goes away. Karen was much like Tammy, just effervescent, always positive, always one of hope. And I'm so glad that I met Tammy, and Tammy knew Karen, and they're really cut from the same bolt of cloth, and they unconsciously spread their goodness. So, Tammy, I'm sure you can't wait for my next 3 a.m. revelation. I'll bring that to you when I get it. And I'm starting to think about something, actually, so here you go. But I would like to take the time to introduce some people that are very special to me in the room, and maybe you could stand. Holly, my daughter. Natalie, my daughter. A story about each. Holly gave birth to our first grandchild, Leiden, about 30 days before Karen passed, and Karen got 3 good weeks with little Leiden. That's all Karen wanted to be as a grandmother. And my daughter, Natalie, she's in the human trafficking arena. Yeah. So I didn't catch that. So she saves the ladies and puts the bad guys in jail for a very long time. She did marvelous work. I invited Adam Porter. Adam Porter has spent the last 5 or 6 years as president of the SA Alumni Association. Adam, stand up. And one of the gifts that San Diego State did give me over the years, I've been involved with the Alumni Association, and I've made really good friends of young men, and Adam's one of them. And we hope that Adam can take the word back about the good work we're doing to the younger set, and maybe tee him up for a donation at some point in time. So thank you, Adam. And I'd like to introduce Gail Krause. Yeah, so stay standing, Gail. Gail is my partner. Now, Gail we all have a story, with our cancer situation. Gail's husband, Jim, passed away from pancreatic cancer in August of 2012, exactly 5 months before Karen passed. Jim and Karen were the exact same age. They were 62. And, they drew the short straw, unfortunately. But both Karen and Jim were on the sunny side, always optimistic, always looking on the good side of things. And, but she and I miss both of them dearly. Now, one of the things that Gail has done, her husband was the president of Point Loma Rotary, and the Point Loma Rotary came to Gail about 7, 8 years ago and said, we'd like to honor Jim and raise funds for pancreatic cancer. And so the charity is the Ride the Point bike ride held once a year in November. And this last couple of weeks ago, they had a record number of participants, 750 riders, and they raised $90,000 for pancreatic cancer research. So Tammy mentioned the heroes. These are the heroes here. They have the grit, the determination, the courage to overcome everything that's thrown their way and make it across the finish line. And as I've told them, many of them, that once you get across that finish line, you have a degree which no one can take away from you. So they are the true heroes. All we do is write checks, keep on writing checks. So I'll leave you with this, 2 things. Sarah wrote me a note, and this is her note, is one of my treasures. And I just want to read a line from her note. She says, "Your beautiful gift has impacted my life in an incredible and transformational way. Knowing that despite my disabilities stemming from my cancer years ago, I am able to pursue my dreams and opportunities just like everybody else." So thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. Mark, Gail, Jimmy Young, Holly, Natalie, truly phenomenal. Thank you. I hope that your takeaway here tonight, because you've heard a lot, I hope that your takeaway is that you just truly understand what you've done. And it's a lot, because this is hard. This is really, really, really hard. And when you fill people's cups, I'm not really sure that everybody can really understand how important that is. When you bring a smile to somebody's face who's going through this, it might seem like a little thing, but it's a big thing, because we're always looking for joy and hope when sometimes our life doesn't feel joyful or hopeful. And we have plenty of those days. Throughout this journey, we meet a lot of people. And since I've known so many of you for so long, going back 20, 25 years, I've also met some really incredible people just in the last 4 years, including Christy and Tony Romero and Sarita and Scott Flaming. And I just want to recognize you guys tonight. Christy and Tony drove all the way out here from Arizona to be at this event. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you for making the drive. That's really, really important. Sarita and Christy are volunteers for this fund. We talk regularly about how we can continue to grow this fund. They're continuing to be there and to do this. They are both survivors of cancer, and so we have a nice little sisterhood going with that too. There's not much more to say except thank you so much. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to let you play some basketball. Anybody want to take Brian on in a basketball pop-up shot? Thank you for everything that you do for SDSU. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for changing the lives of these incredible students who are, their legs are shaking and they're tired. We are so incredibly grateful for you. We are so happy that you're here and in person. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go enjoy your evening. Be safe. Happy holidays to all of you. And just know that life is hard, but we can all do hard things. Thank you.